Hi everybody, it's time for the most pitiful ever May wrap up and book haul. Oh gosh, this is the worst reading month I've ever had. I had finals, but I am not blaming it on that because I had ample time to read. Most of my finals were rather simple. They just kind of made them like end of the year quizzes and So I had ample time to read, yet I managed to read 2.5 books in the month of May. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. I know. I know. So, let's get started. The first book I read this month was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And this is one of the most incredible books I have ever read in my entire life. It's romantic, it's action-packed, it's everything. It has paranormal aspects and adventure, and it's so amazing, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It is about a girl named Feyre who is forced to hunt to keep her family alive, and then one day she kills a wolf that actually turns out to be a fae, like fairy. And this beast comes to her, and they're like, I can either kill you for what you did, or you can come live with me. And he turns out to be Tamlin, and he's this awesome, like, fae, awesome person. And it's romance and action and fantasy. It is so fantastic. Sarah J. Maas is a goddess, I swear. Like, I'm pretty sure that she's not actually a human. And the next book, the last book I read this month, I don't have with me because my friend is borrowing it, but it is The Heir by Kira Cass, which is the 4th book in the newly not selection trilogy, but now it's going to be a 5-book series. And this just follows, I don't want to spoil anybody for the selection, I'm not going to. This follows Max and the Prince and who he ends up with's daughter. And these next 2 books, that's what it's going to be. It was fabulous. I hated the main character more than I hated anybody. She is my new least favorite character because she constantly said, and I quote, I am beautiful, no one is no more powerful than me, and I am smart. Smarter than everyone. Just shut up! No one gives a crap. We've heard you talk about how awesome you are multiple times. Now you can shut up. But I still gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was excellent. It was a very well written novel. So, those are all the books I read this month. Wow. Now let's get on to the books I bought, which are quite a few more, and these aren't in order. The first book I did buy this month was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and, well, I'm not going to say where, but my brother, we got to go to his, college's choir performance that he was singing in, and there he finds the novel, and so I bought it. Whoa! Then I bought The Heir by Kira Cass. Like I said, I don't have that with me, and, because that was a release I had been anticipating. That came out May 5th. Then the next book I bought, this one is the thing that I'm halfway through. I tried to finish last night, but I just couldn't. It's running a little slow. I love it, but it is Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge, and this is not a sequel, and it's also not a companion to Cruel Beauty. It's just in that same... It's not even in the same world. I mean, it's completely separate things. It's just like if you go on Goodreads, like, you know how it'll say, like, The Hunger Games, and then in parentheses it'll say The Hunger Games 1. This just says Cruel Beauty Universe. Like, same author, same gist, same covers, just different colors and whatever. I got about halfway through. Oh, real quick, let's look at my bookmark. The Big Bang Theory. There's Sheldon, who's my husband. That's my spot. Yeah. Shelly is bae. Anyways. I'm really loving this. This is kind of a spin-off retelling of Red Riding Hood, and we have a really kick-butt heroine and awesome swoon-worthy guys, and it's a very, very nice novel. Just running a little bit slow. See, that's the same with Cruel Beauty. I loved it, but it was slow. I mean, you have to be patient. You really do, but she's a debut author, and she's fabulous. Rosamund Hodge. I highly recommend her work. The next book I bought this month, oh boy, this is gonna be fun. The Eye of Mines by James Dasher. The very first book that I have DNF'd. This is the stupidest book I have ever read. I'm going to be legit with you. You guys know that I love The Maze Runner. It's one of my top 5 favorite series of all time. I have reviews for all of them. I love The Maze Runner. Now, that goes to show that James Dashner was never my favorite author, or even one of my favorites. I find him to be a very mediocre author. I like his stories, his plots, his characters. I don't like his writing. It's very, very, very choppy and immature, and it sounds like a 3rd grader texting her best friend. Honestly, I'm not trying to be mean. That's how it is. I love The Maze Runner. I love it. It's so casual, and I think he needs to be a little bit more formal for a literal published book. But this is like, I didn't have to hit page 104. I literally, and to get to that, it took me about a week and a half to get to that. It was so stupid and so boring, and the characters were idiots, and they weren't funny. They kept trying to make jokes that were hilarious, but they weren't. And so it's like a virtual reality video game kind of thing, you know. It sounds so freaking cool. No, absolutely not. One of the next things I bought this month was Hamlet by William Shakespeare, because I loved Romeo and Juliet that we read in my English class, so I thought, why not read some of his other famous works? So this is the one that I hear a lot about, and there's a lot of references in pop culture to it, so so I want to read that. And then my friend actually bought me this. Thank you, Devin. For school, we're having to read 1984 by George Orwell. And the teacher for next year, who's going to be teaching the class that we have to read this for, was selling them used copies for $2 and new copies for $5. And we're like, it's so much cheaper than in a real bookstore. And he's like, I'll buy it for you. And I was like, I love you. So I owe Devin $5. I'll get that back to you. Anyways, I am so excited to read this. I actually started it. I'm listening to it on an audiobook that I found on YouTube. Very, very well spoken. I'm listening to it and I'm reading along, and it's just a lot more submersive, and I feel like I'm able to understand more. Since this is for school, I'm trying to really focus. I decided, I was currently reading it, but I decided to wait till a little bit closer to school time so I don't have to reread it in order to like take tests and do projects and stuff. But I absolutely loved it so far. It's very reminiscent to me of The Giver, and I love The Giver, clearly, so. Then since I was loving his writing, I went and got Animal Farm by George Orwell, and the nice, beautiful, gorgeous matchy covers. This is, I mean, you guys, it's Tola, I can never say that, Totalitarianism, and tyranny, about how farm animals rise up against the farmers that are treating them improperly. That sounds amazing. I'm sorry. Then I found at a much reduced cost Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which is one of my most anticipated classics. It just seems so amazing. It sounds like a really cool dystopian. Oh, Aldous. There he is. He's in the back. Cool. Really nice cover, but I'm super excited to read this. I'm really excited. I love reading dystopian classics to see, like, what they thought was futuristic. It's cool to me. Then I found Into the Wild by, oh boy, John, the sticker's covering it. John I can't read it. Cracker? I don't know. But this was about that guy who goes like hiking and then people find his decomposed body like 4 months later. Sounds terrifying and awesome, so there we go. Then I bought this book of brain teasers. It does not have an author because but it's just a book of really cool like puzzles. I love brain teasers because they make you so much smarter and they really can help you with everyday life. So I thought, why not? And plus it was on bargain, but I really, really do like brain teasers. And then this was like the first book I bought this month. I don't really know why it's at the bottom of the stack. But I bought Codename Verity by Elizabeth, I'm assuming she's German, and I'm going to say Vine for the W, but Elizabeth Vine. And I got 76 pages into this. I was really liking it. It was a little bit slow moving because I didn't understand a lot of the war terms, and I think the way that it's presented, like how our main character is talking, is a little bit odd because I'm pretty sure she's referring to herself in third person. It's kind of confusing, honestly. But I'm going to come back to this soon because I really like it and it's very popular and it has lots of cool awards and it has tons of hype. I'm really excited to get to that. So everybody, that was my very pitiful wrap up and awesome book haul. Tell me down below if you've read any of these, if you liked them, just, you know, just talk. Just talk. Give me some insight. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.